How you doing there? I'm Tomlin's Nyback. This is 365 Days Towards Racial Change, Day 317, our socioeconomic conversation for Black folks, Part 2. Before we get to it, I like to kind of freeform a little before we get to our talk. And it's the virus, and we're going through it. I talked yesterday about opportunities. I think this subject is perfect because there's going to be a lot of economic opportunities creeping up as we recover and come out of our holes and um, engage communally. A few days ago, I talked about this social distancing and just joked, white people in general don't have a problem social distancing. They've done that to me for a long time. And I've just recently began to notice it. Now they've got a damn label for it. Yeah, it's based on the disease, but they are. I think we will still be socially distanced after all this. Very sad. Very sad, America. Hey, the country's got so much potential, and it's on paper, boy, it's probably the best in the world. In practice, mm, they uh, really botched it. And it's from the beginning. It's botched. From the beginning, America enslaved people based on their skin color. Shouldn't have enslaved anyone for any reason, but they did, and so it's botched. So the good nation's always going to be encumbered with those baby steps it took, way back when. Uh, and just the nation's always going to hit that. It's like a tire with a flat spot. So it goes down the road here. Yeah, it's getting better. I think they're trying to beat it out. Some find less white people supporting agendas that are keeping black people down, but got a long way to go. Trust me. Especially like 2017 was a big financial collapse for me personally. 2019, it was racism in the workplace. Yeah, so we've got a long way to go here. How are white folks doing? Any white folks watch this? I like this. I'm such a small guy. I'm one guy. I got a handful of there's people following. I think I gotta catch up with that. This is more if you watched all of these up to this point, then this is a personal project to kind of vent and unload. You know, I hope I would have the same kind of integrity if I was as visible as a Denzel Washington or some big black name like that. Oprah Winfrey. Well, could I still be as transparent? But how are white folks doing? Right? Does this resonate at all? I have a lot of white friends. They say, they agree. They were born in a privileged position and all that. I know that my white friends and acquaintances are not people who would knowingly, consciously keep anybody in a compromised or privileged underprivileged position, you know. But unfortunately, there's a lot of white people who really get jittery when black people um, start exercising and expressing some of that same white privilege in America. They get real nervous. They don't like that, and I've gotten to push back from that. You know, especially like when I'm giving advice. Maybe you're a white person and a black person is telling you the right thing, but you just go into that mode where you're supposed to be in control of everything and whatnot, and you disregard what what that person may be saying because of their skin color. You're really missing out. And so I've run into that. How are black folks doing? Black minds. I've talked a little bit about being ready um, racially. This virus is a good wake up call for like who's in line to succeed if the bottom really falls out, if there's going to be no stimulus package, if the government is dissolved and is in its own anarchy, if law enforcement disappears, you know, can you defend yourself, hunt for your own food, survive in the cold, find fresh water. Right? I know a lot of my white friends know how to do that, right? Because they go camping a lot. Black folks, we don't go camping a whole lot. Part of it is we're breaking our necks trying to uh, just get our needs met when the economy and uh, you know the economic life of the nation is moving. We're breaking our necks trying to survive. So we don't have time to go camping and learning some of the stoves and taking down an animal, dressing it in the wild, preparing it for consumption. Huh? Do we know some of that? Right. Um, so this virus is a good opportunity to think that maybe carve out some time for some excursions, some education, and there's a lot. You look around. There's a lot of places you get some education about wilderness training and stuff like that. You're going to need more than basement full of food for a certain amount of time. I mean, if you're looking at a situation where it's going to take some real time to recover while you're defending yourself, while the bureaucracy gets back in place and stuff, you're going to want to have some survival skills on hand. Think about it. On that note, how's your financial literacy, black folks? We know white folks are financially literate. All the white folks I know, they're where I'm going for my financial advice whenever I get kind of in position for that. It's going to, hey, I've got some money, or I want to buy a house, because black folks haven't taught me that stuff, right? So it's how's your financial literacy, and if you're honest about it, where are you going to get your financial education? Two very important components. You know, I think at this time we're going to get away and get our economy back. Things are going to move along. again, but this, don't miss your opportunity here to come out ahead. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. We're going to talk more about it today around this socioeconomic unity, ethno-aggregation with Dr. Anderson. Um, but it's important. You know, Black people are laborers and consumers. We got to be more than that in America. We be business and land owners. Those are just some of the things, right? We're more than entertainers. We can do more than run with a ball and toss a ball, right? You know, this is, boys, just give them a ball. You got black skin? Oh, here's a ball. Come on, man. You got thinkers. I'm a philosophy major in college now. You know, I'm not an athlete. Great. If you're athletic, go for it. That's your thing. But not all black people are athletic laborers humping your products around. We've got values, minds, and a whole lot of times, a whole lot of cases, better than other groups. So, you know, keep that in mind. Oh, I'm sensitized to this project and these things by a man named Dr. Claud Anderson. I've read a bunch of his works. I encourage you to get these. These textbooks inform our discussion here at Racial Change. First book is Black History Reader, 101 Questions You Never Thought to Ask. We are getting into this as part 2 today of the socioeconomic conversation. We also get into Black labor, white wealth, search for power and economic justice, and Dr. Anderson's national plan to empower Black America. Find Dr. Anderson here on YouTube and poweronomics.com. Behind me, you see the hashtag #us2symbol. Check out Black women supporting one another, having their community there. Check out Blag Enough, BLAGGENUF, kind of a Black Facebook experience, another board. If you got a business mind, go holler at Dr. Boyce Watkins at the Black Business School, theblackbusinessschool.com, and see if any of those resources will help you out. If you can't find your flavor here on the World Wide Web, wherever, do what I did, start your own. Google's is hosting me for free and stuff. Over 300 videos, right? 150 hours. That's a big damn server farm, and I'm only one guy. Boy, this technology thing is amazing. And finally, we've moved away from it, but we're going to get back in some way because we've already went through this entire text. Uncle Tom's Cabin, Harriet Beecher Stowe's phenomenal work, but we're going to get back to it eventually. And I do want you to get that book, read that book. Fictional kind of slave life, but it's informed by real events. All right, day 317, we're still talking about socioeconomic unity and all that, ethno-aggregation. Find some past videos and you can get a lot more in depth about ethno-aggregation. But I think we've talked about it a lot. We'll revisit it, but we're just going to move along today. Excuse me. Black people need to be shaken out of their complacency. I think too many of us think that because maybe we have a key to our home or we can we can move around as we want, that we think we are free in America. That's just not the case. We can look back at the 1500s and 1600s and rail against slavery, but we're just as much experiencing a slave dynamic as as the 1600s, 1700s here in America. So that's the one thing to recognize, that we are not the term that I have adopted since starting this project is self-determination. And this is for all you groups, whites, blacks, Asians, Hispanics alike, Arabs, Middle East. If you're not self-determining your life, if you're not choosing when to wake up, where to go, how to spend your money, how to make your money, how the resources, and politics, all that stuff, if you're not in control of it, if somebody else or some other system is pulling the strings on you, then you are not self-determining your life, and you are a slave to some degree. You're beholden to someone else. Someone else is using your energy, your resources. You're dependent on them to even reciprocate to some degree so that you can survive. How many black people are self-determining their lives? And that's interesting. The virus is actually an opportunity for me. I'm glad the world shut down. Give me some time to think about what would I want my life to look like when everything comes back online. I have some more. I need to find out. I need a way to leverage that. Don't miss this opportunity. Um, from the beginning, America's inception, um, it's been about white prosperity, white control, slavery, and not only that, but put whites in a position to stay in that position, right? You got a whole system, create a whole science now, uh, because just like I said just a moment ago, we've not moved as far away from the elements of slavery. We just wrote some things in a book. There's documents to give black people rights and voting and stuff like that, but it didn't happen on equal measure, on equal footing, to help us be equally competitive, right? The whites said, yeah, you can, let's give you voting. Let's give you that. And voting, remember, blacks are 3/5 of a human being, right? One, you know, I don't want to do the math on you right now, but you know, it takes more than one black vote to equal one white vote. And they'll people say, no, 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 listen, blacks are 3/5 of a human being, and that's never been overturned. There's a couple things in the Constitution of the United States, in our founding documents, whether it's Supreme Court decisions and all that, where black folks are at a disadvantage on paper, right? So think about, it's why we have to take so much more energy, right? In college, I'm a philosophy major in college. Well, the mean age and color, right? Whites in their mid-20s, right? Took me twice as long to get there, to where they're at, and to compete and level. Well, that's because there's certain dynamics, systemic um, processes and degrees embedded in the Constitution and other foundational documents of the nation. That's never been overturned, and that we still live in the dynamics from that. Um, Therefore, we need to think about how and if we're going to come together, socioeconomically, come together as a team, as whites, Asians, Hispanics, as they do, right? One thing about coming together is, I think black people, maybe, maybe there's something that thinks we have to be overt about it. We do not have to be overtly biased and favorable to our own group because the other groups are that, not in that way anyway. But some the other groups have their language barriers. Dr. Anderson talks about how the groups mark their territories with their names of streets, their commerce, the names of their um, little restaurants and stores and stuff. Right, those are one way that they perform. Uh, it's like hanging out a shingle or a flag for their group. To That's a friendly place for their group to participate in that um, in that space. But black folks, we can come together without flying banners and stuff, right? Because people get very jittery that black folks are getting together or that black folks are being exclusive. They can be exclusive and all that, uh, but they don't want blacks to be exclusive. And now, with the language of inclusivity and people of color, things like that, all these uh, terms to water down, subsuming blacks into that new kind of racism is is the norm nowadays. So they finally found some politically correct things where everybody can be on board. Even Barack Obama, when he was in position, he did not exclusively enact anything to better blacks, the position of blacks. He publicly said he had to work on everyone's behalf. Hey, he's the president, you know, whatever. We had a big financial crisis coming up anyway. So he had a lot on his hands anyway. So the socioeconomic progress for black people does not have to be overt. We can practice it without um, flying banners. And if someone says we're being racist, they'll just have to prove it, right? I remember years ago, um, when immigration was starting to get a lot of press and a lot of heat and things like that, I was talking to a Mexican guy. He was kind of running this organization. He said, "I know plenty of illegals," and he said, "But prove it." So black people, we should just go ahead and engage in some exclusivity and leave the burden to complaining groups to prove it. Well, we've had to prove it. We had to march, get beaten, lynched, raped, and all kinds of stuff uh, to get our point across. It amazes me. Like I feel like black people sometimes are squeamish at letting somebody else carry their water for a while, right? I won't go too much into that. What is what's happening here? We're trying to get out from under, get away from white control, but you got to also recognize, and I'm going to admit this, that whites, other groups have they're good models for how to rise up, how to behave. The white folks, that they're unique. They're as unique as black folks are unique, because white folks, um, that they had built this racist structure in America, they had to maintain it. Um, think about a bridge over maybe a high gorge or something. You build it, but now you gotta maintain it. You're beholden to it because uh, it'll fall apart, quite simply. Um, that Dr. Anderson, he points this out. This is on page 49. He says something like, due to the whites constructing racism, right now that they're just as um, beholden and kind of trapped in it as black folks are kind of struggling with the challenges on being on the other side of that. You know, um, and I'm not asking for pity for white folks in any way, but they created this dynamic, um, where in their mind that they believe they're supposed to be in a level of control and a level of uh, power, always perpetually in the land. And some of the white people, they really, you gotta sometimes just sit somewhere and watch white people behave. Some of them, boy, they're just so innocent in having never touched a challenge in their life, a racial challenge, right? Their skin color has been a pass in life, and it's hard to explain. Sometimes I'll sit and watch them. Sometimes it's like, man, it's not that they're doing anything. It's that I know that it's never been an issue for them as far as their skin color putting them at a disadvantage. Never in their lives. You can almost see it out there in the world, you know. Um, and black people, white people are having the same, we're in the same land, in the same space, in the same time, but those are two different experiences right along the lines of skin color. It's quite amazing. Which is why blacks coming together socially and economically is a real plus, right? And it's real, right? This crisis with the virus has put us at a disadvantage, but like I was saying last time, boy, it's really gave workers a chance to think, wait, whoa, I've been, what have I been doing for the past 5, 10 years? Gripping my fingers to the bone. We got to get together. This is an opportunity to get together and at least, yeah, maybe I got to go back to where I was, but you know what? Now I got a taste of real freedom, of self determination. I want to go this direction now. and start working towards that with the help of someone else. Oppression, slavery was no accident. Slavery was a science still ongoing today. You know, whites power, blacks disadvantage. Total, there's a line there. Um, we need to learn from our white counterparts, Asian counterparts, Hispanic counterparts, what unity means and how to be successful, get moving. I'm out of time. Tomorrow I'm going to hopefully I'll remember to touch on how blacks should treat blacks if we're going to make this socioeconomic move of unity. You know, we got to start giving each other breaks, giving each other more, reciprocating with one another. Hopefully next time I see you, I can remember to put some of those elements into Dr. Anderson's argument. I'm Thomas Nyback. This day 317 out of the way. Thanks for hanging out. 365 days towards racial change. I'll see you next time.